Hearing the voice of God. How do we hear the voice of God and know it is God? That is a question so many of us have asked. I began to recognize the voice of God from an early age because my mother kept us in the Word with 5 a.m. and nightly worships and prayer sessions. So how does one hear God's voice? God first spoke to Adam like a father, instructing his children in the Garden of Eden. Genesis 2:16-17. He also called them after they sinned and chastised them like a father. In Genesis 3. The prophets like Samuel heard God call him from his bed. In 1 Samuel 3, like a father calling his son. Or like Moses, who heard him in a gentle voice as he instructed him on the deliverance of his people from Egypt, Exodus 3, or the children of Israel who heard him thundering at Mount Sinai as he spoke the commandments, Exodus 20, or as he spoke to Elijah in the still small voice in 1 Kings 19, after he exhibited himself in the wind and the earthquake. The disciples heard him when he confirmed Jesus as his beloved Son. When Jesus was baptized, the people heard him confirm Jesus as his Son. In Old and New Testament, God spoke to his children both audibly and in dreams, as he did with Joseph. So how do we hear him and know it is God, not our own voice or the voice of the enemy? First, we must spend time with him. The only way to know a friend or family member's voice is to talk with them, spend time with them to recognize their voice. I am from a family of 8, and we have branched off with many siblings. However, if any of the family members I have spent time with calls, I can immediately recognize their voice. But if a family member I have not talked with for a while should call, sometimes I do not immediately recognize that voice. They have to say who they are. Why? Because I have not spent time with them to recognize their voice. Like a mother knows her children's voice in a crowd, or a wife or husband can recognize each other's voices from outside the house without seeing them, so it is when we spend regular and quality time with God, we will begin to hear his voice and recognize him. As we read the Word daily and pray without ceasing, talking to God, as he recognizes our voice, so we will begin to also recognize his voice. 1. Spend regular time in the Word. That is where he speaks to us the most. 2. Spend quality time in prayer. Talk to him about everything. Hold nothing back. As you develop the strong bond of relationship with him, you will begin to recognize his voice. Even in the crowd, you will differentiate his voice. 3. Like Gideon, if we are not sure, we can ask for a sign. He granted Gideon the sign of a wet and dry fleece when Gideon was uncertain that God was speaking to him. As you develop the father-son or daughter relationship with him, you will begin to recognize distinctly your Father's voice. No one can tell you how he speaks or will speak to you. Only you will be able to hear him for yourself as you become acquainted with him. Like friends or family, you will know his voice for yourself. Develop a personal connection with him, and his voice will be known to you without doubt. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more spiritual guides and insights. Follow on social media for daily inspiration.